Hi, I'm Kathy, and today I'm going to talk about the U.S. Constitution and how it relates to education and disability. Specifically, we're going to look at the Fifth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment. Let's get started because there's a lot to cover. The Fifth Amendment, one of the 10 Bill of Rights, has 5 clauses, 3 of which have to do with criminal procedures. There's the Due Process Clause and the Takings Clause. The first 3 clauses of the Fifth Amendment do not appear to address education or disabilities directly. However, the third clause, privilege against self-incrimination, may indirectly apply to education, however, more with the 14th Amendment. Let's look at clause number 4 of the Fifth Amendment, due process. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Due process of law. Now I see a relationship there. The fourth clause, due process of the Fifth Amendment, is about fundamental fairness. The school cannot punish a student without giving the reason and giving an opportunity to contest the charges. If the student is on an IEP, IDEA requires a hearing called a manifest determination if expulsion is a consideration. Clause 5 of the Fifth Amendment, the Takings Clause, also known as the eminent domain, the government can take private property for public use for just compensation. Even though it's not common, schools can claim eminent domain, and it has been done in Ohio. So let's move on to the 10th Amendment, states' rights. The 10th Amendment simply states the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Wow, does that mean education falls under the state? Even though the 10th Amendment doesn't specifically direct the states to assume the responsibility for education, that's what happened. And now every state has established in their constitution a statewide school system. And the U.S. Supreme Court, along with the state courts, have consistently ruled that education is a function of the state. And then came the 14th Amendment, which changed things quite a bit. Although the 14th Amendment was not specifically meant to apply to education, its impact and influence has been significant. The 14th Amendment brought equal protection. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment clearly requires that all American citizens be treated equally by the law. This is important for education. However, the 14th Amendment's importance to education was not realized until 1954 and the Brown versus Board of Education. It was this landmark case that the Supreme Court ruled the separate but equal standards were unconstitutional. Chief Justice Earl Warren did the writing for the court and argued the question of whether racially segregated public schools were inherently unequal. Chief Justice Earl Warren concluded the following: in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. And the court further stated, education is a right which must be made available to all on equal terms, not a privilege that is granted to some and denied others. This public policy opened up public schools to minorities and other populations who had previously been denied access. Advocates for students with disabilities pressed Congress into passing the Education for All Handicapped Children in 1975. and further legislation followed. The Due Process Clause in the 14th Amendment is an important piece for individual rights in public education. It affects the student's discipline process, and also it protects parents' rights to direct the educational upbringing of their child. Just because the Constitution does not specifically mention education does not mean our forefathers did not value education. Actually, the opposite is true. The Land Ordinance of 1785 set land aside for schools, and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787 talks about the means of education shall forever be encouraged. We have come a long way, and yet we still have a very long way to go. But thanks to the 5th, 10th, and 14th Amendments, we have the groundwork laid to continue to move forward.